Good morning. Hear me there at the back? Thank you for the nice introduction, and I'm quite delighted to be here. Uh, Thanks to the leadership here at Sai University, particularly Dr. Sindhuja, whom I know very well. She invited me over here. It's always a delight to speak to young students. That one feels younger as well, and I do take every opportunity that I get to address and give my experiences, share my experiences of 40 years plus in various forms, either the professional, personal, social aspects of life. Some of which you may want to, keep it at the back of your mind as you progress. So now I see all of you, quite eager. It's now just out of school, starting a new chapter in your life. There is obviously some anxiety as well. Obviously, uncertainty that's now prevailing around the world. Like Professor was mentioning about AI, what's going to happen? Is it going to take away our jobs? But you got to face the challenges, and of course the geopolitics of the world with the tariff coming in from the President Donald Trump of the U.S. creating a lot of uncertainties in the economic environment. Will that affect us? So there are a lot of these challenges. But we've been through this, and I've seen this happen. I think some of us may have had. We've passed through some uncertainties in our own, political and economic environment. And each of these crises has really brought out something better for each one of us. And India has progressed through crisis, and it's now flourishing. And it will flourish, there's no doubt about that. So don't really worry about your future. The next few years that you're going to be here, you really got to enjoy yourself. Like you will obviously learn from your teachers, your professors, but more importantly, and they will agree with me, that you will learn a lot from each other. So be bond together, create lifelong friendship, and share experiences. That will really help you grow as a person. More than as a professional, etc. Okay, so here I come. So what am I talking to you about? It's a very deep subject, but I'll keep it simple. And I mean, honestly, I only that much. There are much more competent people to teach you in your course. But for me, these have been the two bedrocks for my success, as I see success in the sense the way I see, I feel good about myself, which is basically trust and ethics. So where did it all come from? If I went back, like we had, went to college, focusing on and basically coming from an engineering background, all looking everything quanti, everything had to be very objective. So, and there was this humanity side of things where it's all very subjective. So I didn't take to it naturally. And a lot of us didn't take to it naturally. So what happened was, we went through and we kind of went through our career. 25 years later, a reunion happened, and the reunion, there was a professor who was taking a survey as, what has the 25 years taught you and what you have carried back from the campus. So almost unanimously, people said, what they really learned from the campus, and what was important for their life was not necessarily the technical skills or you're very good at a particular technology or a management technique or whatever. It was mostly about soft skills. I mean, how well you interact with one another. It could be your colleagues, it could be a superior, it could be a junior, it could be a vendor, the outside world, all forms. That was critical to success. Success not necessarily in money or power, success in developing yourself as a good person, feel good about yourself. So for me, that has been the fundamental. Trust and ethics. These are two very important aspects. Like there's a bedrock for success for me. That's what I feel. And for me, the ethics is the foundation, and the trust is the result of that. So what do we talk about trust and ethics? When I'm saying, I'm talking about to yourself. Obviously, the person outside also, you would evaluate how the person's is he trustworthy or otherwise. But this is for yourself. It's self-development. You really have to think within yourself, how do I create to the other person who's interacting with me a feeling that that person can trust me. So your conduct should be such that you really have to be trustworthy, And if somebody comes up and trusts you, I mean, you really feel also emboldened to do and talk and open up and share. Otherwise, everybody bottles up, holds up things for themselves. So, okay, now let's come back to the two. We'll break into the details of what is trust. Trust is, in a sense, a lot of definitions and very detailed definitions, very erudite definitions. But for me, trust is something, you put yourself in some form of danger. Put the responsibility on somebody else. You put yourself at risk. Like you trust the pilot, you trust the doctor in a surgery. So that is trust. That's of course very fundamental trust, and sometimes you kind of trust somebody with your life. So somebody, if you can trust that way, that a person would support you, have your back all the time when you're in trouble. And that's the kind of thing that you need to communicate and you need to develop in yourself. But we are generally, as we progress along this path, are we all trustworthy? We know we are not really. None of us is perfect, in that sense. But we have to progress along that path. Progressing over a period of time, it's like through a practice. That each day you evaluate yourself. At every context you evaluate yourself. Saying, am I becoming a little bit more trustworthy to the outside world? That's a progress. So, typically you said somebody asks you, "Are you trustworthy?" Sometimes. Then you say, many times. As you progress, you say, most times. And at some point you say, always. You progress along that. Obviously, always is a utopian situation, but at least you should come to many times. You should be trustworthy most of the times, otherwise. So what is this? And it's trust is something that you can, takes time to build. It's not something that happens overnight. It has to happen over a period of time, small actions of yours, like in drops, and you gain trust with those drops. But you can lose trust in buckets. You can see the context. One small error, one small thing can suddenly people will lose trust in you. So you got to be constantly careful that you don't belie somebody's trust on yourself. And a couple of examples I want to quote from our mythology and also from some of our parables. Now this question of the Vibhishana moving away from Ravana when the war is going to happen. Rama and his army of soldiers, the monkey soldiers, they're at the shore, going across, wanting to attack Lanka. And at that time, Vibhishana kind of, as it were a deserter, he comes across from the enemy camp to your camp. And he says, he comes and surrenders to Rama and says, listen, my brother is doing adharma, so I want to join you. You're on the path of righteousness. I would like to join you. But the fact is, Rama obviously embraces him and accepts him. Everybody around him says, what is this? He just comes and says, he may be a spy for all you know. He may be carrying back tales and probably it will be to our disadvantage. But Rama had that trust. He understood where Vibhishana was coming from. But that is, as you can see, it's one-off. It's a trust which has come from one transaction. On the other hand, if you go to see, there are other ways. It's simple parable, Panchatantra and our mythology carry lots of stuff for values that we all need to learn. Small stories. And again, story you all would have learned, heard, maybe your grandmother, your parents would have told you about the crocodile and the monkey, two unrelated animals in a sense, They were on the bank of a river, the crocodile in the water, the monkey on the tree, and became friends. They kind of chatted up and they trusted each other. At some point of time, the crocodile goes back and tells his wife, saying that, listen, I got this friend, we have a good time together. The wife says, what, a monkey? Oh, I heard the monkey says, heart is very sweet, I would like to eat him up. So this guy says, no, but I trust him, he's my friend. He says, no, but so nobody can say no to a wife, so he agrees. So he tells his friend, the monkey, saying that, listen, hello, can I come invite you home for a meal? My wife will prepare something special. He says, fine. So next day they go, set off on the monkey on the back of the crocodile. They go through, and then at midpoint, the the crocodile has a sense of remorse. He said, listen, yeah, I'm taking you there, but actually, you know what? I mean, my wife wants to actually make a feast of you, not really give you a feast. So these is then always quick and monkey has to save his life. So immediately tells the crocodile, oh my God, I've forgotten my heart. I normally leave it on my tree when I go out. Obviously, it's a story, so you can just take it in that sense. The crocodile was dim-witted and said, okay, let's go back. And he obviously, once he reaches the shore, he jumps off and says, listen, I trusted you all my life, and we had a good time together. And this one act of yours, you've completely destroyed that trust and put my life in danger. So I'm never going to trust you again. So trust is something that you have to build and sustain. It can't be, you can't abuse somebody's trust on you at any point of time. It has to be always practiced and continuously happen. Then you have coming to ethics. Ethics is, like I said, is the foundation for building the trust, because trust is the result of ethics. So ethics basically is what? Ethics, you do something which is generally not comfortable for you, and you're going to take a call on that. Though it's uncomfortable for you, you're going to do it. When nobody else is looking, nobody is judging you, but you're judging yourself. If at that point, that is ethics, And there is again, like the same way, like in trust, I want to draw a couple of examples from mythology. So, but in a sense, on a day-to-day basis, like I said, are we trustworthy? Are we ethical? We are not. You've got to also progress along the same path. Like we try to build ourselves to be a trustworthy person. Build yourself as an ethical person. There will be several, and it's very, very difficult to be very ethical all the time. There will be challenges. There will be temptations. You want just to lie here, a lie there, a cheating here, a cheating there. It does happen in everybody's life. It's not, we're not saints here, but you should be conscious of it. It should make you uncomfortable within yourself. Yeah, you don't have to own up anything, but within yourself, when you look yourself in the mirror, you're not being correct on that particular deed or whatever you did. So again, like ethics, like trust, ethics is a long-term investment. It's not something that you're going to have built overnight. And as you progress and your friends, your colleagues, as they see you, they will start, having expectations of you as a person who's trustworthy, as a person who's got ethical standards. Now, again, like I said, a couple of examples. One is, of course, again from the Mahabharata. I did Ramayana, I'll do Mahabharata here. And there is this, again, famous war, and the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and Dronacharya was the guru of both the Kauravas and the Pandavas, and the Dronacharya obviously was fighting on behalf of the Kauravas, and his son Asat Dhama was also there. Both of them were giving a hiding to the Pandavas, and they really, were a threat. And the Pandavas said, what do? We need to do, neutralize them somehow. So, obviously, then Krishna is the master strategic person, strategic. So he comes up with this plan, and so and there is a big announcement, and a war is going on, that Asat Dhama hata iti naro va kunjara. This is very often, a lot of people quote this. It's basically what? The announcement is Asat Dhama is dead. It is said so loudly that, it reaches the ears of Drona. The second portion of it gets drowned in the sounding of the conch shells or the beating of the drum, which is basically, was it a human or was it an elephant that goes and gets drowned in the sound. But he hears that. Drona hears only the first part, and he gets obviously very upset, and obviously then becomes a little careless in his fighting, and both of them actually finally get killed. So this is, was it ethical? Was that act unethical? Probably no. But then there's always a justification in our mythology why it was done. That's believing apart. But if you can see that, it's fairly unethical on the part of the Pandavas to do that. Contrast that with another very simple story in Panchatantra. There is a farmer, illiterate, very poor, has a farm, small piece of land, plowing it physically, doesn't even have a bullock to plow it, plowing it himself, and far away from the habitation. And he strikes something, and he sees there is a cask of gold. And then nobody is there around. It's very comfortable, very easy to just kind of take away, and that will have changed his life forever, for maybe generations. But no, he goes and gives it to the king and says, listen, I found it in the field. Obviously, the king was very happy, gave him a reward, but the fact of the matter was nobody was watching him, but still he came and gave it away. That is the thing. No, that would have made him feel comfortable. So these are just extreme examples to tell you, how do you stick to your moral compass? That's most important. Now I'll come to the hack, what I use for my own development, which I use the person who introduced me said I'm a Rotarian. I'm a Rotarian for 27 years. And Rotary is a fine social organization where people who have worked in organizations in whatever way, or maybe the teaching community, at some point in time they want to give back to society, and that's how I'm a Rotarian. And Rotary has a wonderful test, a 4-way test as we call it. We often use it in our meetings. The 4-way test is like anything that you do and say. If you test it out with this 4-way test, you will find that you will be successful, or at least you'll have an answer. It's a technique. So it's used to anything that you do and say. First one is it the truth? So when you're saying something to somebody that you got to talk to yourself. Say, am I saying the truth? Is it? From whatever it may not be true, but at least from your conscious point of view, be as close to the truth as possible. Next is it fair to all concerned? To be true may not be fair. So the second aspect is it fair to all concerned? Third is, will it build goodwill and friendship? So each thing that is said, evaluate with these four tests, and then you will have your answer and act accordingly. You may not have the perfect answer every time, but at least progress towards that. The final one is, will it be beneficial to all concerned? So these are the 4 things. I'll repeat. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Truth, again, is fundamental to trust. They go together, almost go together. And relationship can be kind of collapse in the lack of truth. If you're lying to each other, you just don't collapse. And it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes truth is very, very uncomfortable. And it's not something that you can always say. And sometimes you have to be quiet. You don't talk about it. But if you can own up to your mistakes, if you own up to your mistakes, say that you tell the truth, though it's going to hurt you. If you do that, if somebody admits their mistakes, people will start trusting that person, because somebody who has that ability to go and own up and say, I'm wrong, I was incorrect. So that is the bedrock on which the person will start trusting you. So truth is so closely related to trust. So in your thing, as I would say, this particular truth is like, we all use it's a part of a national motto, Satyameva Jayate. As much as possible, make sure that you're on the path of truth. Never try to take shortcuts by lying. It lasts for a few times here and there. But if you want to have a sustained relationship with people around you, and you have to build trust, keep to the truth as much as possible. Simple thing. So truth is very evident. Everybody would have told you that. Fairness, again, is something that, it's something that you, even when you do an action, even if the actions are not going to be favorable for the person still does it, because that's the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to keep asking, is it the right thing to do? It's a fair thing to do. So you may not be comfortable doing that, but it's still a fair thing to do. So fairness ultimately is what? So basically it should be right thinking, think right, it should be the right thing, and your heart should also say it's right, and you act accordingly. So all rights. To do this, if you do that, you will be on the path of fairness. And fairness is basically what? Ultimately dharma. You follow dharma. If you follow the general accepted principle of dharma, you are going to be fair. So anything that you do and say, be fair to everybody concerned. Even if you have to be critical about somebody, that also has to be said in such a fashion, in such a kind of a tone, that it appears to the person as being fair. You're not being. So it should not be with a loaded gun. To uphold dharma is the second thing. And the third, of course, is goodwill and better friendships. Again, goodwill is not built over in small moments. It's a long-term investment. You have grace, patience, and respect for others. And Tiruvalluvar is a famous Tamil poet and a philosopher. He has said that, I read out, it's not built by money or gifts alone. It's built by kindness, empathy, and words that heal rather than hurt. So next thing that when you talk to people, be kind. Always keep that softness in your heart to anybody, because you never know what the person is going through at any point of time. If you have that sense of being kind to the other person, consciously you do that, that person will again trust you. He will think of you as a very, very ethical person. And finally, benefit to all concerned is a win-win situation. Anything that you do should also be helpful to the other person. Together you win. So that there is no, vested interest. The other person doesn't think that you're doing it for his or her own benefit. There is something in it for me as well. So if you do that, if you think those three. So basically, I'll sum it up into 4 simple points, which is all we can all remember quite easily. Satyameva Jayate, Dharmam, then kindness and selflessness. These are the 4 things that if you can put yourself in your behavior, in your actions, that will serve you well all through your life, and it will be a stepping stone for success. This is something that, if you can practice regularly, I'm sure you'll succeed well. Your years in Sai University will be excellent, and you should progress well in life as well. Finally, I want to leave another footnote for you. It's not related to the topic, but general advice. It's everybody has goals. The professor was talking about, Vice Chancellor talked about goals. We all have goals, but don't think professional goals is all that matters. You have to divide your goals into personal goals. You should have some personal goals that you want to achieve. There has to be some professional goals. There has to be some spiritual goals. There has to be some health goals. There has to be. So these goals make you into a multi-dimensional personality. You can't have just one goal. So they're like they say work and life balance. It's like multiple balances, not 1, 2 elements. Your family is important. Your health is important. Your mental well-being is important. Your spiritual well-being is important. All these things, and today we're seeing challenges on all these fronts. So you've got to work on your multi-dimensional goals. And that would really, again, help you add to whatever I told you in terms of trust and ethics. They have a very successful, satisfying, and at the end of the day, I also try to do this quite often without success. Quite often I do well, and the days I do it well, I really sleep well. That's pretty much what it is all about. Without any, lingering thoughts about, having done something badly to somebody or behaved inappropriately. You go sleep well, your conscience is clear. Thank you very much, and it's been wonderful talking to you, and I hope you'll enjoy your campus life here. It looks very nice and lovely and green, and like as the Vice Chancellor was saying, I'm sure in the next 3-4 years it's blossom into a lovely, lovely campus, and it will be, and you'll all feel proud of having passed from Sai University. Thank you.